The conflict in West Asia seems to be heating up. The latest, at least a dozen missiles were fired at a military base used by US-led coalition forces in western Iraq on Saturday. The missiles struck Al-Assad Air Base in Iraq's Anbar province, triggering fears of further expansion of the crisis in West Asia. The US Central Command reported minor injuries across the base from the strike. According to CENTCOM, the Al-Assad base was struck by multiple missiles and rockets reportedly launched by Iran-backed proxies from within Iraq. Most of these missiles were reportedly intercepted. This is after Israel reportedly struck its Syria's capital Damascus early on Saturday, killing 5. The strike flattened a single multi-story building in the Mazen neighborhood in Damascus. Iran has claimed the 5 dead in the Israeli strike were all members of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. These include 2 heads of the Iranian Army's information unit. As per reports, the building was being used by Iranian advisors supporting President Bashar al-Assad. There are also suggestions that a meeting of the IRGC was underway. This is not the first time Iran has alleged the death of IRGC members. In December 2023, a senior general of Iran's Revolutionary Guard was killed in an Israeli strike. Close to 23 pro-Iran fighters were also allegedly killed in a separate incident in the same month. US forces have come under fire at least 58 times in Iraq and over 83 times in Syria by Iranian proxies. These attacks usually consist of either rockets or kamikaze drones. Close to 900 US troops are stationed in Syria and an additional 2,500 in Iraq, mostly to counter the resurgence of the Islamic State threat. Earlier on January 5th, Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani's office moved to evict forces following a US drone strike in Baghdad. The Pentagon, however, deferred the move, stating that its presence in the country was at the behest of Baghdad's request.
A cloud of black smoke drifts across southern Gaza skyline. There is the familiar buzz of Israeli drones above the second biggest city in the Strip, Khan Yunis. Shelling hit the Al-Manara neighborhood and the city coast. There is fighting in the vicinity of Gaza's largest remaining functional medical facility, Nasser Hospital, with dozens killed overnight. Israeli forces are pushing further south and have released footage they say shows tunnel in Khan Yunis where they believe 20 of their captives were kept at some point. In the north, sporadic gunfire signals more violence there. It's utter devastation in Jabalia, where a man returns to his home or what has left of it.
I came back to check on my home in Jabalia in the north of the Gaza Strip. I found it in ruins, totally destroyed, flattened to the ground. There are not any signs that there was once a home or human beings living here. Israel is perpetrating methodical destruction. We are hit with a catastrophe, another Nakba.
The daily struggle for food and the need for life-saving medical supplies grow, with Israeli forces targeting buildings in Jabalia in the north, right through to Khan Yunis in the south, even Rafah, right on the southern border of the Strip, with more than 1 million displaced Palestinians are sheltering, is not spared.
نحن نقف الآن في منطقة تل الزعتر شرق مخيم جباليا شمال.
I'm standing in Tal el-Zatar, east of Jabalia refugee camp, in the northern part of the Gaza Strip, where the Israeli occupation forces' tanks, armoured vehicles and troops were deployed. They destroyed everything in their way, from residential buildings to infrastructure. Even mosques and water wells were not spared. The city's Grand Mosque, where I stand, was flattened by the Israeli forces. This was once a house of God. It was levelled to the ground. Adjacent to the mosque was a kindergarten and a water reservoir, and the wells feeding the entire residential area with water. All were reduced to ruins. I am on what was once a major crossroads in Tel el-Zatar. These streets were the centre stage of fierce fighting between Israeli soldiers and the Palestinian resistance fighters. Fighting kept raging for days, if not weeks, in this area. The aftermath is clearly visible. Massive destruction. Residential homes, streets, infrastructure, nothing was spared. These metal parts are what is left of some of the Israeli armoured gear which was destroyed by the Palestinian resistance fighters, a testament to the ferociousness of fighting.